You were planning that, weren't you?
Oh, I was. All week. Next time I'll do a little jig.
Well, have you had anyone... Actually, I haven't checked the video to see who commented on the ketchup or mayonnaise or whatever ghetto thing it was that you put on your fries.
Thing. Yeah, I saw one on there.
What was it? What was it? Ketchup?
I forgot. It's amnesia, I'm pretty sure.
Must be. What I see is someone's going to be needing to wear a dress with the stage name of Jen.
Yeah, dude. So I'm punching outside of my weight class. So we're gonna do all.
No, you can't change it.
Too bad.
You can't change it.
It's ketchup versus the world. Ketchup versus all other condiments. Let's go. We got some
You
gravy.
can't just
happening.
group 300 things against one.
Too bad. A little bit of gravy, a little bit of cheese. Boom. We
Okay,
have poutine.
you can't fight that. Which, by the way, ketchup is also good on poutine. That's what's up.
What? What is wrong with you?
Poutine is good. I'm not saying it's not. I'm just saying ketchup is also good on it.
No.
Dude, it's a catch-all sauce. I'm telling you.
No.
There's no other kinds. All right, episode 13, eh?
13. Yep.
Okay. Do you want me to do the intro? You want to do the intro?
Go for it, dude.
Okay.
As we stare longingly.
What's up, everybody? I'm Mitch. I am joined by my co-host,
Rick.
Rick.
The king of high fives. Let's go.
This is the Fit4Moto podcast where we talk about all things motocross related. We talk about lifestyle stuff. We talk about fitness, riding, gear, you name it, everything that kind of surrounds it, because it's, it's our jam, yeah?
That's it.
And this is episode 13. We're going to chat about what today?
What the heck are macros?
Yeah, macros, man. So this is something that I think confuses a lot of people. And I know a lot of people probably when they're staring at the back of a package like a nutrition label, I'm sure that they have some idea what they're looking at, but maybe not a total idea of what they're looking at, or at least not literally the three main points of it that are the takeaways for what, as a rider or someone who works out, or even honestly just in your daily life, the three big takeaways from that label. The three big ones, I'll call them, that you can kind of use and apply to all other areas.
Yeah, if you don't know what you're looking for, you get lost pretty easy. There's so much info back there.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're going to roll into that. We're going to roll into EP13 macros.
Unlucky 13?
I'm going to say lucky 13.
Lucky 13.
We're rolling the dice.
All right, let's
landing
do this.
on black. We're getting an ace.
It's in a deuce. Taking a deuce all over the place.
We're deucing it. This podcast goes further and further south every time we do one. I feel like it's just getting more and more hillbilly.
Oh, absolutely it does.
Oh man.
I saw you hovering the stop button.
Yeah.
You're like, no, I'm done.
Yeah, well, I just reached for the red because I'm like, stop the bleeding.
All
Stop
over.
the bleeding. Yeah. Speaking of bleeding, so I was out at the track today doing some coaching, and there was a gnarly get-off, man.
Ooh, not good. What happened?
So there's like a roller section on the track, and I think it's a high-speed section.
Pro track?
No, the hill one.
Oh, the hill.
And so that back roller section.
Didn't they just add that?
No, it's been there for a long time, but they
okay.
constantly change the rollers a little bit.
Gotcha.
And anyway, apparently from the people that were watching it, started swapped out like 4 times back and forth, and then kind of did the old head grenade into the ground. Was out for like a minute and a half, 2 minutes. Like that's a long time to be out.
Ouch.
Yeah. So shout out to him. I think his name is Curtis, if I'm recalling correctly. Shout out to him. Hopefully he's okay. Yeah.
Somebody come take care of him?
Yeah, dude. There was we shut the track down. There was a bunch of ambulances, fire,
really?
police. Yeah, like it was like a huge to do. Yeah, it was a big deal there. Yeah. So hopefully he's okay. But
speedy recovery, fingers crossed.
Yeah, man. That's some scary stuff for sure, right? That's kind of one of the things, like, I'll always love moto, but that's one of the things I kind of like about doing the woodsy stuff. Is it's not quite so high speed in most of the sections. Like there's some roads and stuff for, some wide open quad trails that you might get on that you can get going a little faster. But realistically, you're riding for 2-3 hours or more at a time. So you just can't go full out all
It's
the
not
time.
wide open all.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right. So that is one of the things that I'm starting to like about it. It's a little slower pace and more technical. So it's more about your skill set, not about your how fast you can open the throttle. You know what I
Gotcha.
mean? And yeah, I don't know. I tell you, take a hit like that. Like, geez, dude, you're gonna be hurting for a bit.
Oh man, yeah, that could end you for quite a while.
Yeah, definitely. So, but talking about macros in this podcast, that definitely comes into play with all of this as far as recovery goes. So, I think that's kind of a good tie-in, if you will.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So tell me, what do you know about macros?
Not a whole lot.
What is a macro?
So I'm terrible with food. I like junk. If it is fast food and can be ordered quickly, that's my go-to. So I'm trying to fix that. As far as macros,
Like poutine?
oh dude, poutine.
Dip a little ketchup in it.
Yes. Get some. All the ketchup all the time.
Yes. See, you're coming around.
Yeah. I know there's three: proteins, fats, carbs, and
Right.
I think they're used for different things in your body.
Totally. Yeah.
Pretty
So
important.
yeah,
Gotta have 'em.
absolutely. Gotta have them. Yeah. So you're absolutely right. So the term macros means it's just short for macronutrients. So there's macronutrients, which again are the protein, carbohydrates, and fats.
Could I take a guess that there might be micronutrients?
There absolutely is.
Yes.
You guessed right. Stand by. We
Let's
used
go.
it. Yeah, high five. I got really excited about that. So micronutrients, macronutrients are the proteins, carbs, and fats. Micronutrients are what?
Little ones? Are those vitamins and stuff?
Yeah, totally. So the vitamins and the minerals side of
and-
things. So like calcium, magnesium, sodium, all that kind of stuff. Those are micronutrients.
Gotcha.
So your body needs both the macronutrients and the micronutrients to live, literally to live, to function and do everything that we do as living beings.
Copy.
Yeah. So we'll just get into the macronutrients today. So like I said, there are the three: proteins, carbs, and fats. And you're right. Each one has its own role in your body. Now, again, I could get way deep into the weeds on exactly what those roles are, because as you can imagine, it's not like they just do one thing. Like take protein, for example. It has an incredible amount of roles and functions in your body. But what I think we should probably do is stick to kind of more of a surface level type thing.
Okay.
So let's talk about, as riders or as athletes, people that want to get fitter or just generally more healthy at all. What does the role of each one play there?
Sounds good. Let's do it.
Yeah. So as far as protein goes, we might as well start with protein.
Yeah.
Right. So for the people that are watching, I have a box of iRide cookies here.
Oh, those are good.
So good. I should probably break some open right now. So, as with any food product that you find on any shelf in any grocery store, you have the nutrition label on the side. Okay. So with that nutrition label, we've probably all looked at them before, but what do all those things mean? Well, again, let's just stick to the surface here. So you'll notice that there's fats, carbohydrates, and protein in that order on this label. Yeah.
Yep.
So if we look down to the protein, you'll see it listed there, and then it shows the grams. Okay.
G's.
G note.
Gotta get those G's.
Totally. So with the proteins, there are, and this is kind of a little off topic, I guess, but sort of not. Proteins have a roughly 4 calories per 1 gram of protein. So on the label, it says 15 grams of protein.
Okay.
Right? So 15 times 4 is
60.
Yeah. So 60 calories come from protein in one of these cookies.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So, and carbohydrates are the same. Carbohydrates, are the same. Roughly 4 calories per gram. So these are showing 14 grams of carbohydrates, which are
Tasty.
50.
60 minus 4. 56.
Yeah, totally. So 56 calories come from carbohydrates.
Okay.
Now fats are the big one, right? We talk about the macros. We talk about there being 3 of them: proteins, carbs, fats. Fats are the big ones because they're very calorie dense.
Gotcha.
So fats have 8 to 8.8 calories per gram. So literally double the calories per gram that you get. So on the box here, it says 7 grams.
Okay.
Right? So 7 times 8 is...
Yep. That
Let me
number.
just crunch the numbers. carry the 3, repeating, of course. So, but fats have double the calories in. Now, you may be asking, okay, I thought we were talking about macros. What does calories have to do with anything? Calories are an energy, right? So that's how we're measuring a calorie. Energy isn't a calorie in joules and in energy. So I just say that it matters because proteins and carbs have the same amount of energy per gram. Fats have double that amount.
Gotcha.
So if you have 10 grams of protein, 10 grams of carbs, and 10 grams of fat, you have double the calories from fat than you have from the other two.
So despite being the same amount, would that be considered like a source of fats, or do you just call it all even?
Sorry, what do you mean?
I don't know how to explain that. So you've got equal amounts of everything.
Right.
Do you know what? No. It's too hard for me to explain to my dumb little pea brain. It's all good.
So it's important because between those 3, proteins, carbs, and fats, they all have different functions within your body. Okay. Now, the numbers that make up the protein, carbs, and fats on a nutrition label, like we just walked it through, like we just walked through, that has a very significant role in what happens to your body with that energy. And now this will make a little light bulb go off to say, oh, I see now why he talked about fats having double the calories. So when your body's at rest, we use something that's called the respiratory exchange ratio, or the RER. Okay. When your body's at rest versus when your body's at a max heart rate. So say if we're just sitting here chatting, I'm probably, near resting heart rate, as are you, versus when you're working out or when you're riding your bike or anything like that, and your heart rate starts to climb up. Every time your heart rate climbs up a little bit, that respiratory exchange ratio starts to change. So when we're at rest, your body will use more fats for fuel. Okay. So while we're at rest, your body wants more fat for fuel. As your heart rate climbs up, you start burning glycogen, which is just carbohydrates. So that respiratory exchange ratio changes, and as your heart rate climbs up, it starts converting from fat to fuel for carbs for fuel. Does that make sense? So it kind of stands to reason then that if you're a rider, which is, very physically demanding, you're not probably anywhere near your resting heart rate.
Totally.
Right?
Yeah.
So you probably need a few more carbohydrates for fuel because you're going deeper into that respiratory exchange ratio, which means your body wants more carbs for fuel than it does for fats because your heart rate is elevated.
Gotcha. Probably not many activities, exercises, hobbies you can do that are going to keep you in that fat burning.
Totally.
Thing,
and
right?
you're absolutely right. Yeah, you're absolutely right. And so that's why I bring it up that they have double. So what happens is a lot of times people think, okay, so I've got a control of my carbohydrates, but keeping in mind with fats that have double the calories, unless you're doing something specifically to burn those fats more, they add up quicker.
So what would an example of that be? Like, I'm going to read a book, so crush some fats?
Well, and your body will still burn fats the whole way through, just at a lesser amount. Right? So let's say you're going for a brisk walk and your heart rate is 110 beats and less per minute. You're going to be burning quite a bit of fat for fuel during that time as opposed to carbohydrates.
So you're walking the mall, eat a fistful of fat. Check.
Yeah, just grab a big old tub of peanut butter and start hammering her back.
I was just thinking a stick of lard or something.
Just eating a block of butter.
Crisco.
So does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, so the ratio of those 3 things, the proteins, carbs, and fats, that ratio, how much you're eating, and by ratio I mean, let's just take our cookies, for example, 15 grams of protein, 14 grams of carbs, and 7 grams of fat. That ratio is vitally important on how your body performs. So your body, let's again go back to protein. Your body doesn't really want to use protein for anything other than recovery. Now, again, there may be someone listening to this go, oh, that's not true. I'm trying not to get too deep into the weeds here. I'm trying to keep this pretty surface level.
Dumb it down for me.
Totally.
That's what you're doing.
I'm dumbing it down for myself as well. So your body doesn't want to burn protein for fuel. It will if it has to, and that's a completely different topic, that's getting into a starvation mode, blah, 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 blah. We can go way deeper into that. But for today, it doesn't really want to use protein for fuel. It wants to use protein to rebuild tissue.
So is that something I ever have to be concerned about when I'm working out, training, riding?
Absolutely.
Okay,
Absolutely.
really?
So protein is really, really important. So if you take, riding dirt bikes and stuff, and here's one of the misconceptions, and this is a really, really big one, is, a lot of riders, they think, okay, I'm going to have protein and I'm going to bulk up, and I don't want that because I ride bikes.
Mm-hmm.
I can assure you that's not going to happen. Protein simply helps repair what you've broken down.
Gotcha.
Just because you have a slightly increased amount of protein circulating through your blood as it digests, does not mean you're suddenly going to grow Arnold Schwarzenegger muscles, okay?
And I've been trying for a long time. It doesn't work.
Yeah, it doesn't work that way,
Gotcha.
okay? In order for you to get, it's called hypertrophy.
Mm-hmm.
In order for you to have these giant muscles, there's a number of things that really need to happen that are directed towards that. Your training has to be directed towards that. Your nutrition has to be directed towards that. Your sleep, your recovery, all these different things have to be directed towards that. If you're doing a lot of anaerobic and aerobic based training, like riding a bike,
Mm-hmm.
any form of cardio and any of that kind of stuff, that's not great for hypertrophy. But that doesn't mean your body doesn't need protein to help start repairing things that need repairing.
Gotcha.
Because you're still, just take a look at a runner, right?
Mm-hmm.
Look at a sprinter, okay? They're still quite muscular.
Mm-hmm.
Look at a marathon runner. They're little bean poles. So you have two different types of running, but they're both still activating their tissue, right? But their training is wildly different.
Gotcha. So is the body constantly trying to adapt to whatever you're doing to it?
Absolutely.
So long distance, you get skinny, light. If you're sprinting, it's quick, short bursts. So you pack on mass so you can do that quickly. If you're squatting 100 versus 500 pounds, you'll be smaller versus bigger.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yep. Absolutely. So you hit the nail on the head. Your body will try and adapt to whatever you're trying to get it to do.
So it would make sense that if you're out riding a ton and then you're taking protein, trying to recover from that, your body's going to recover in a fashion that makes it easier for you to do that activity.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. And the human body is crazy fascinating. That's why I'm, such a big nerd about it. But, it really will try and adapt to whatever you try and put it through. So again, using the marathoner versus a sprinter, if you're going it for long distance runs, it will try and shed as much muscle tissue as it can. And that's not because, if I have, big shoulders, it's going to slow me down because I'm heavier, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's strictly an energy thing. That's all it is. Your body is saying, I don't need this tissue to run this distance, so I'm going to get rid of it. Whereas if you have like a sprinter, the sprinter puts a very large and sudden quick demand on its tissue to drive out of those starting blocks. So your body's going, oh, I need to get bigger muscles there so I can drive faster.
Gotcha.
And that really is just a response adaptation to what he's doing. So a sprinter's putting his legs under a certain demand, and his body is really just responding to that.
So I don't know if you know this answer, but would an ideal sprinter have massive legs and nothing up top, or do you need the up top size as well?
I'm not sure, actually. I don't know a whole lot about sprinting technique as far as I'd say the Olympic level or something like that. I would say it's probably somewhere near that. I don't know if I would go to an extreme. If you could take like a marathon runner with on the top half, you know what I mean? I don't think it's quite that much. But I'm also not an Olympic sprinting coach, so
For sure.
But it is a good question though. You raise a good question.
I'll Google it later.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah,
You'll
I'm
bring up all
intrigued.
kinds of centaurs and things.
Yeah.
Okay. So like I said, so the protein is really, really important. So when you're looking at a nutrition label and we're talking about macros, you do want to see some protein in there. If you see a food that has, okay, so let's take some bread, for example, right? So you're looking at a loaf of white bread. Okay. 2 grams of protein per slice.
That doesn't sound like much.
It's not enough. Okay. Now you can get some other, I don't know that I would call them specialty breads, but they're available in every grocery store around that have more protein in the bread. Now that is something that you do want as someone who rides or works out or is an active daily living thing, right? You want that protein in your system. It doesn't have to necessarily be in a powder form like what iRide sells. You can get it from other sources. But you do need a certain amount of that in your system when you're constantly breaking your body down by exercising or riding. When I did the outliers, dude, like my heart rate was at max for a good period of it when I was pushing up hills and stuff. that's not just your lungs and your heart getting a workout. Your entire body is getting pushed, which means it needs some repair, right?
Up is up.
Absolutely. Up is up. So that's where protein, the day of, the day after, that's where it starts to help in kind of that whole repair process. So when you look at a label and you see protein on it, you want to see a fair bit of protein in it. And again, you know, without getting too far into the weeds, you know, there's lots of different sources of protein.
I was going to ask, does it matter how I get it? Like, should I be crushing steak or chicken? Should I have soy, plant-based?
All good options. All good options. Now, again, there's probably going to be someone listening that's going, no, that's not true.
It's such a bad idea to do one
there
or the other.
are totally. There are different levels of what's called bioavailability of protein, and there are some complete and some incomplete protein sources.
Okay.
For the average person listening to this, if you want to get into a deep discussion, absolutely hit me up and I will go on for hours about just protein. However, for the average person listening to this, just get your protein where you can. So, you know, it doesn't have to be an animal source. However, animal sources, you know, depending on if you're vegan and that kind of thing, they are a complete protein source, which means they have all of the essential amino acids in them, EAAs.
So that's everything you need.
Totally.
Okay.
Yep. Now, there are some plant-based proteins and even some dairy-based proteins that are not complete.
Gotcha.
So they're not giving you everything you absolutely need.
So say you were just going to go with the one kind, plant or dairy, that doesn't have everything. Would you then need to supplement in some form?
Yeah,
okay.
Absolutely. So, you know, hence essential amino acids and stuff, right?
Copy. Yep.
Your body needs certain things to function properly.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't mean you're going to die if you don't have it one day, but you do need certain things to function properly, and your body can get them from different sources of food. But that's also why it can be somewhat important to vary your food sources too, right? So if you are doing vegan or something like that, which by the way, hats off to people who are, that's not easy to do, and it's very expensive. So I do have a lot of respect for people who choose to do that.
Yep.
But if you are doing that, you do need to make sure that you're getting it from complete sources.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Does that about cover protein? Do you have any questions from that?
How much do you have?
So that's a really good question. So totally depends on the type of training you're doing, how intense it is, you know, where you're at as an athlete, the level that you're at, the amount of riding you're doing. I mean, there's a ton of factors that can come into this.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just going to pick a straight up, you know, whatever, let's say 20-year-old, maybe 30-year-old person.
Okay.
As average as I can get, right? Because honestly, that's not an easy answer. And it's because it can be so varied from person to person.
Gotcha.
You and I would be pretty similar in what we need, but we have very similar body types.
Okay.
We're both monkeys. But you know, some of the riders that I saw at the track today, they're very, very, very slim, right? Maybe they only ride once a week. They don't work out that much. They might have different needs that way.
Okay.
So keeping it as general as I possibly can, I would say you want, now we're talking lean body mass here. So let's say you weigh 200 pounds, but you got a fair bit of chub on you, you know, you're going to want lean body mass. So you're, you know, probably what, 150, 160, not you, I'm talking this imaginary person I just made up.
Somebody who's in good shape.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
You would be like 110 probably.
If that.
Kidding. So, lean body mass, right? Because you don't need protein for your body fat. Doesn't work that way. You just need protein for the lean tissue that's in your body.
So protein's just for repairing muscle-ish.
I can't say it. No, I can't say
Okay.
just, but for the purposes of today's podcast, let's just say that's its primary function.
Gotcha.
Okay. Again, it's wildly more important than that. Crazy more important. However, for what we're talking about today, yeah. So, you know, I would say about, you want about 0.5 gram per lean pound of body mass. So let's say someone weighs 160 pounds. I would say they will want at least 80 to 100 grams of protein, at least.
Gotcha.
In a day.
Okay. So I've just gone straight bro science, a gram per pound. And so I consistently try and hit 200-ish grams a day. Is that way too much?
Nope. No, okay. Absolutely not. So that's good. And just FYI, I do the same thing. I have roughly 180 to 200 grams because I'm doing about 1 gram per pound of lean body mass. But you and I have very different training than maybe a lot of average people do, right?
I like to lift. I like to lift heavy, but then I also run and try and get my cardio in as well.
Right. So you train quite intensely, and your body is going to tear down a lot, and you have a lot of muscle tissue. The more muscle tissue you have, the greater the demand is to repair that tissue. That makes sense.
Yep.
Right. So the bigger quadriceps you have on your legs, the more repair there is to be done. Right. So you need more nutrients to repair that.
Yep.
That kind of makes sense, right?
Absolutely.
So, you know, for someone like you or I, we need a little higher probably than average, just because we have more tissue than the average person, but not just on the repair side, but also on the demand side. You know, we train quite a bit. So there needs to be, the recovery needs to come up a little higher than maybe the average person.
Gotcha.
That makes sense?
Yeah. Now, if you're taking in too much, can you get gout? Like, what are some side effects? Do we have side effects?
No. So there used to be an old myth that was high protein intake will destroy your kidneys.
Yeah.
Have you ever heard that one?
And then I also heard gout was a thing too.
Yeah. So here's the thing. I'm not a doctor, so I don't know all the ins and outs of gout. I do know that is largely a genetic thing as well.
Gotcha.
So as far as let's just take the top one off. High protein intake harms your kidneys. Absolutely false. That is an old myth that all of the recent studies have shown that to be 100% not true. 100% not true. You know, I can remember guys telling me to have like outrageous amounts of protein.
900 grams of eggs a day.
Totally. Like you need to eat 6 dozen eggs a day.
If they're not raw, they don't count.
Exactly. Like crazy things, right? Yeah. So I'm sure there's, you know, a lot of these old myths that came from people that thought they knew what they were talking about and they really didn't. But that myth in particular is not true.
Okay.
Your body will be completely fine. If you do have any sort of kidney issues or gout or something like that, you're genetically predisposed to certain things, and there's going to be a lot of things that make that gout flare up.
Copy.
Right?
Probably the quadruple cheeseburgers you're eating too.
Yeah, that's not helping.
This guy.
Yeah, and then being dehydrated by coffee and all these different things, and maybe you don't sleep. Like, I mean, there can be any number of things, right?
Yeah.
But sticking to protein, no, not a thing.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, man, that's the role of kind of how protein, what we kind of want it for. It's not so much for energy; it's more for the repairing side of things, amongst again a bunch of other functions. But
so what happens if you don't get enough? Will it take longer for you to recover?
Yeah. Your body will have to try and repair from other sources. So that's the other thing too. If you don't have enough protein in your diet, and you know, if you eat a fairly balanced diet, you're gonna have close to enough, right? That being said, what I think is a fairly balanced diet, and what the average person that works 9 to 5, has 4 kids, you know, has soccer lessons and all these other crazy things going on in their life. What they think is an average diet might be a lot different than what I think is an average diet. But that being said, you know, if you eat a fairly well balanced diet, in what I would think is a balanced diet, then you'll be getting close to enough.
Gotcha.
However, yeah, if you don't have enough, your body can't do all the important processes that it needs to do, and you will suffer for it. You will actually start to get sick and all these things.
Gotcha. So what happens if you cut out protein completely?
I don't know that. Well, for one, I don't know that it even be possible. Like, how would you do that? You know, just eating straight sugar, maybe.
Oh yeah.
Like, you'd get diseases for sure. You'd be crazy sick, and it wouldn't take long.
So nobody's gonna get to that point because it'd just be too hard.
Yeah. I mean, that's pretty outrageous to try and cut it all out. Because even in crappy foods, there's a little bit in there, right? Hence, you know, wanting to have a balanced diet of everything. For sure. Yeah. So moving down the list, let's go to carbohydrates.
Okay.
Right now, we talked on one of the previous pods about simple versus complex carbohydrates and kind of what role they play. So if you haven't heard that, go back and listen to that. That kind of clarifies some of the stuff surrounding those. But just sticking to the macro side of things, carbohydrates, they are your body's. Again, I have to be careful what I say here, but they are your body's choice for a fuel source in a lot of situations. Okay. So like I said, as soon as your your heart rate starts to get elevated, your body will want to call on carbohydrates for that fuel, because carbohydrates just are just glycogen. And glycogen is what your mitochondria uses for energy.
Okay.
And the mitochondria are these little engines inside the cells in your body.
Dude, you're taking me back to junior high.
What's
biology, I think?
Yeah. So what's the name of that show that's a little bus that drives around the human body? Do you remember?
Oh, Magic School Bus.
Yes, that's just it. Yeah. So right now we're on the Magic School Bus and we're taking a tour of Rick's body.
Yes.
Careful, he's got a loose bum. So, so the carbohydrates, right? Those are the energy that the little engines inside your cells, the mitochondria, that's what they use for fuel.
Okay.
So, the carbohydrates will be converted into those. Now, when we're looking at a label, these become important because obviously, like let's say, so these cookies have 14 grams.
Yep.
Right? Let's say they had 70 grams.
That's a lot of carbs.
That's a lot of carbs, right? But there are some products out there that in one scoop has 40 grams of carbohydrates, 50 grams of carbohydrates. That can be a problem if you're not using them.
Dude, I remember being in, I think it was junior high, playing junior high football and dabbling in supplements. And I remember this thing called Carbo Fuel. No idea what it was, but got it at a supplement place. I'm like, oh yeah, I'm going to get jacked. And so I'd just be crushing scoops of Carbo Fuel. Like sitting on the couch playing video games.
Dude, it must have given you mud butt.
Oh,
There's no way you can drink Carbo Fuel and not get mud butt.
Yeah. Not good.
Just hippo tail in the high school toilet. Yeah. So, and that's just it. If you slam your body with all these carbohydrates and it doesn't need them to replenish glycogen, and nor can you digest them fast enough, yeah, you will get upset stomachs. You will get a bunch of other things like that, as well as your body will go, okay, I got this huge influx of energy. Don't need it all right now. I'm going to store it. Bingo.
Gotcha.
Body fat. Right? Now, when you're just real quick, when your body breaks down when it mobilizes that body fat, it mobilizes that fat back into glucose or a form of, which goes into the mitochondria, gives you energy.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's kind of a quick how your body uses that.
Gotcha. So many times I've heard people seeing things like, oh, carbs are bad, low carb diet, no carb diet. And, you drop a ton of weight really quickly. Why is that? And just from what you've said, it doesn't sound like that's healthy or good or wise.
So, oh, dude, we could do, and we should do a whole other podcast. So that's called ketogenics. Oh, okay. Ketogenesis. So, if you think anthropologically speaking, back when we were chasing, saber-toothed tigers and what's the bearded elephants? A woolly mammoth?
Bearded elephant? Did they have tusks or something?
Yeah. So back when you were chasing the bearded elephants, we may had to go periods without carbohydrates, right? Gotcha. Food was scarce. So your body had to find a way to survive to keep your muscles moving.
Okay.
Right? And the way that it does that is through something called ketogenesis. And that is your body's ability to use body fat or fats for fuel more so than carbohydrates because there are no carbs. Does that make sense? Yeah. So, so sorry, I forgot what your question was. I started going on the hairy bearded dragon.
The low carb, no carb diet.
Yeah.
It sounds kind of.
So yeah, unhealthy. So totally. So dude, we could do a whole nother podcast on fad diets. As a matter of fact, we should. Let's definitely do one of those because I feel pretty passionately about those because nutrition is my jam. But just for the sake of not making this an 18-hour podcast, they have their place and time. You need to be very careful with what you choose to do with those and how long you choose to do them because they can and will cause irreversible effects to your body.
Gotcha.
Now, that being said, ketogenesis is something that your body, ketogenics is not it's not an off and on light switch thing. There is varying levels of ketosis within your body. So when you wake up in the morning, if you wake up, slept all night, didn't eat anything, right? Didn't wake up in the middle of the night to eat, and you go for a run, your body's in a state of ketosis.
Okay.
It may not be in a maxed out state of ketosis, but it is using some fats for fuel because you haven't eaten any carbs yet.
Oh, is that why fasted cardio is such a thing or was for a while?
Yes. And again, I could touch on that too.
Yeah,
So man, I feel like I could go down so many rabbit holes right now.
So many questions.
So, okay, well, we'll come back to the fasted cardio thing on
course.
some of the fad diet things.
Okay.
So,
I still want to know though. Tell me off air.
okay, so let's touch on it quick. Faster cardio. Yes, your body will mobilize more fatty tissue in that instant in which you choose to do cardio or exercise or ride or whatever on an empty stomach, because it needs fuel from somewhere.
Yep.
Right? So yes, it will call, okay, everyone to arms. We need to metabolize some fatty tissue here for fuel. Your body will be in some level of ketosis to make that happen, because it thinks you're chasing after the bearded elephant.
Going after the bearded elephant.
Right?
Gotcha.
It doesn't, we haven't evolved to sit in front of TVs and to roll through the McDonald's drive-through, right? These things we didn't have these 10,000 years ago.
Dude, this is new.
Totally, right? So your body's still running on what happened 10,000 years ago. We haven't evolved past that fast enough yet in this industrialized world that we're in. Well, neither has your digestive system or your mechanical system, like your biometric system. None of that has, right? So if you do fasted cardio, it says, yep, I'm going to metabolize some fat for fuel so I can do this thing. It thinks you're running after the bearded elephant. And then and then you should get some food after, because you're supposed to kill it, right? Now, here's the kicker. Yes, in that moment, it will draw on more fatty tissue for fuel. However, the second you start putting macronutrients, right, the carbs, the fats, and protein into your body again, it will there for the rest of the day decrease the amount of fat that it burns, because it wants to get back to homeostasis. It says, dude, I just burnt all this today. I'm willing to do that because we're chasing that son bitch, right? I'm hungry. Catch his hairy ass. Now, that's fantastic. You get it. You fed, blah, blah, blah. It's going to go, sweet. Okay, well, here's the thing, though. I burnt what I didn't really want to burn because I need to survive. So I'm going to refill my stores, and then I'm going to burn less for the rest of the day to make sure I refill what I did.
Wow. Okay. Sorry, everybody. I'm taking Mitch on a tangent right here.
So it really, at the end of the day, it ends up being 50-50, dude.
Okay.
It's not positive. It's not negative. It just comes out in the wash.
So how wrong is what I do day to day?
Very.
I figured. So I get up. First thing I do, a little bit of cardio to warm up. Then it's a pretty intense workout, anywhere from 700 to 1,000 calories in about an hour, and then crush a protein shake, grab some food, off to work. That's my day.
Right.
So yeah, I'm burning a ton of fat right there. But then as soon as I've got food, body's like, pump the brakes, dude. I'm holding on to this.
Your body will try and make up for what you did to it in the morning. So, you know, just like our bank accounts. Have you ever heard that your bank account is like a thermostat?
No.
Dude, okay, hopefully I don't go way off into the weeds here, because I just have so much to talk about. Okay, so your bank account, how you live is often thought of like a thermostat.
Okay.
If you will spend the money that you make, right?
It doesn't matter if you get a raise,
right?
You adjust your lifestyle to
Absolutely.
that,
It's like a thermostat. It's always trying to keep, so if your thermostat is set to have $1,000 in your bank account, and someone gives you $3,000, you think you're suddenly going to have $4,000 in your bank account?
No.
Nope. You're going to burn that 3 G's back down to your comfort zone, your thermostat, which is $1,000, right?
Gotcha.
So our bodies are no different. Think of the same thing as a thermostat. Your body has a state of homeostasis where it wants to be, where it's comfortable being. It's comfortable there because it says, I can survive here, right? I'm good here. I got lots of stored energy. I'm getting food coming in. I've got the sleep. I got all the things that I need to survive. Because at the end of the day, that is literally all our bodies are trying to do, is keep us alive. And now I know that seems really simple and dumbed down, but it is absolutely true. Everything we do is your body trying to get you to survive. So if you go into an uncomfortable situation and you don't want to be there, that's your mind saying, something here isn't quite right. I'm uncomfortable. Let's go back to where it's safe, because I can survive there. I know what's happening, right? So with the cardio, exact same thing. You burn a bunch in the morning, your body's willing to do it because it thinks you're chasing food, right? But the second you slow down and dump a bunch of nutrients in, it's going to go, sweet baby Jesus. I want to get back to my thermostat. I want to get back to my homeostasis, right? So it's going to try and burn less fat throughout the day to try and make up for what you did burn.
Gotcha.
Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that you're not having a super beneficial effect by doing that workout. That's not at all what that means. It just means that if you do fasted cardio or you do cardio after you've eaten something, it's completely personal preference.
Okay.
Your body will adjust to whatever you're doing.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, I'm just going through that in my mind, and for the longest time, it was horrible for me to work out in the morning. Hated it. Just dragged my butt. Just it did not go well. And now I'm at the point where if I do it any other time in the day, it's nowhere near as good as first thing in the morning.
It's funny you say that, because I'm the same way, dude. Like, I was always like an evening workout guy.
Yeah.
And this is probably when I went through school, like college, university. I ended up working out after classes all the time. And so that kind of became my groove. And then the thought of working out first thing in the morning, like I wanted to just puke.
Yeah.
You know,
Worst
like,
thing
oh,
ever.
dude, zero energy, hated it, hated every second of it.
Yep.
Right. But now, again, you know, I'll wake up 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning. I get up, I have some rocket fuel, and I get after my workout. And now if I have to wait for whatever reason, if I have to wait till the afternoon, I'm like, oh my God, dude, I have no energy.
No energy.
It's
no
gone.
motivation.
Yeah. You're like, okay, I really have to force myself through this one. So I can completely relate to that. It's funny how that's all flip-flopped, you know?
How the body adapts to it. It's just crazy.
Yeah. You got a massive fly on your headphones.
I know.
Dude,
That
you ever
thing's
see
been
that?
buzzing around.
You ever see that movie? What's it called? The Fly Man, or The Fly? I think it's just called The Fly.
Oh,
It's
with
like a
the
Stephen
Jurassic
King.
Park dude?
What's a yeah. It's
Yeah.
I think it's a Stephen King book.
Yep.
Yeah, that's a weird one. Hey,
Wasn't there a sequel too? But yeah, he turns into a fly
I don't
eventually.
know. They need to remake that, because
Totally.
that was a pretty cool movie back in the day, man. Yeah. Anyway, I digress. Yeah. So that's the fasted cardio thing.
Gotcha.
As far as the carbohydrates go, like I said, if you have way too much, your body will store what it doesn't need. So paying attention to that label, right? We've talked about protein. You want some protein in whatever it is that you're getting. Now, that doesn't mean you can't take a carbohydrate source like rice and then add protein into it. That's fine too. But whenever you're eating something, you want to have some form of protein in that.
Gotcha.
And then with the carbohydrates, you know, be cognizant of how much you're having. Because if you're not burning that energy, like let's say you're not doing a 4-hour road bike race, right? Your body will store what it doesn't need, and it doesn't like to recall it. It doesn't like to burn off what it's stored again, because it's trying to keep you alive all the time, and it doesn't know when it's going to get food again, right? We just happen to live in a space where that's super easy to get now. So, and then if you have too little carbs, that's when your body goes into a state of ketosis, which is okay to do and is meant to do for short periods.
Okay.
Right. And this is where we start to get into things like intermittent fasting. Yes, there are some people that go full ketogenic, full keto diet, like the Atkins diet, that kind of thing. Again, I'll get into that in a different podcast, because that's a huge apple to take a bite out of. There's a lot of meat on that bone to try and get through. But yes, if you have low enough carbs, your body will go into ketosis. Yes, we're meant to do that. Yes, it's okay for short periods. Short periods being like 18 hours.
Gotcha.
You know, and again, I could just keep jumping off ledges here. The more overweight you are, the harder the time that your body has switching from using glucose for fuel and in terms of like having carbohydrates to ketosis. So people,
your body's just that used to doing it that it's set in its ways and doesn't want to adapt.
Well, it doesn't need to. So let's say you take someone who's obese. Now I'm gonna jump right to the front of the spectrum, just in the effort to save time here.
Okay, 400 pounds. You drive around an electric cart in Walmart.
Right.
Okay.
Your body has almost entirely lost its ability to switch to ketosis. Okay. So that's why they're constantly eating, because their body is saying, I'm not switching to fat for fuel. I don't need to. Feed me.
Okay.
So the more overweight you are, the harder that is for that mechanism to happen in your body, which obviously is not good. The more fit that you are, generally, I don't mean you don't need to be a rock star. I'm just talking generally healthy. Your body will easily flop back and forth between those two fuel sources.
Gotcha.
Which means your moods, your energy levels, all these things remain in a more of a steady state throughout the day.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's kind of the Cole's notes of carbohydrates.
So in a perfect world, would you eat throughout the day tailored to your activities?
Yes,
So-
absolutely.
So I'm going to school, I'm going to class. I'm going to be sedentary, sitting around, I'll be eating a little bit higher in fats. I've got a workout plan later in the day, going for a run or a lift. I'm going to eat something higher in carbs before that. And then for dinner, okay, I had a good workout, so let's eat something high in protein.
Yeah.
Okay.
Bingo. Yeah, totally, dude. And that, it really can be kind of generalized that much.
Okay.
You know, as a very ballparky type of statement. Yeah, absolutely. Okay. So, you know, just touching on carbs again real quick. So say with the iRide cookies, with the 15 grams of protein, 14 grams of carbs, and I'll get to fats here in a sec. There's a reason that there's 15 grams of protein, 10 grams of carbs. Like, it's because, you know, if you're having that snack, generally speaking, you're snacking because you're in the middle of something, or, you know, for whatever reason, you're doing something where you're not going to have a big old meal, right? But my point is that there's not 2 grams of protein and 80 grams of carbs in one of these cookies. They have those amounts in them for a reason. And that's because it's giving your body what it needs to recover the protein, some energy, right? The carbohydrates. And now we'll get into the fats, the 7 grams of fat. It's also giving your body some fats for all the other processes. And fats are, fats in a lot of ways can be way more complicated than proteins and carbohydrates in terms of their functions in your body. So again, I'll keep it very, very surface level here. But fats are extraordinarily important in your body. So never go no fat.
Okay. So I remember growing up, fats were bad. Everything should be low fat, no fat. That's since changed.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, that's complete nonsense. You always want to have some fats in your diet. So obviously we know that, you know, there are good fats and bad fats, right? You know, the fats that are in McDonald's French fries, not so good, like vegetable oil or whatever it is, right? Whatever they use to cook their fries with. But the fats in, say, peanut butter or almonds or nuts, right? Those are good fats.
Okay.
Polys and monosaturated. Now, you know, you get into trans fats; those are the bad ones, right? And saturated. Now here, saturated fats, a lot of science has shifted
because those were really bad for a while.
Yeah, really, really bad. Science has actually kind of taken a step back on that lately, dude, in the last, I'm going to say 5 or more years, and started to say, you know what, they actually might not be as bad for you as we once thought they were. So it's really interesting. You know, I don't want to get going on that too much, but they're not as bad as they once were thought to be.
Gotcha.
So you can have some saturated fats in your diet. Now, as far as fats go, keeping in mind, right, like we talked about before, that they have double the energy that the proteins or carbs do. That's important because your body doesn't want to use the fats for fuel when your heart rate's jacked up, right? Like we talked about, it wants to use carbohydrates for fuel. So if you're taking in tons of fats and you're like, yeah, I'm going to go have a wicked workout.
Oh, so my McDonald's right before isn't a good idea.
No. So here's the thing. If you're taking in a bunch of carbohydrates before your workout, okay, cool. You got some glycogen to burn, right? The little engines inside your cells got lots of gas.
Yep.
Cool. If you take in lots of fats, and lots being, okay, let's say the average person needs anywhere from, I'm going to say 50 to 70, maybe 80 grams of fats per day.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yep.
Again, just a very, very general statement. That's going to vary hugely from person to person, but just for the sake of argument. So, let's say you're taking in a ton of carbohydrates for your workout, and then you take in like 50 grams of fat too, or more, 60 grams of fat in one sitting. You eat that McDonald's burger and stuff. Your body, because it has the carbs for fuel, is not going to go into ketosis, right? Which means it's not going to burn the fat for fuel either.
And what happens with that fat?
It just right into the old stored energy.
Gotcha.
Right?
So is that kind of where the myth that fat was bad comes from?
It could have been, yeah. Okay. But fat is wildly important to your overall health. So if let's take it to the other end of the spectrum where you have no fat. If you don't have any fat in your diet, your body will, like your fat, dietary fat is hugely responsible for your hormonal levels in your body. if you start to drop fat out of your diet, your hormones will take a giant hit.
Oh, and those are important, right?
Very. Yeah. Yeah, totally. So in terms like a general health standpoint, we're not even talking, athletics. From a general health standpoint, your dietary fats are very important.
Gotcha. What fuels your brain?
So your brain will go on different things. However, your brain primarily wants glucose for fuel.
Oh, okay. So carbs then?
Yeah.
Okay.
Again, that can vary a lot depending on what kind of state that you're currently in.
Oh, touching on the fad diets, I remember doing the no carb or low carb and just having a fog, and my brain just wouldn't quite function properly.
Right. And when was this?
When I do the no carb diet.
Right. So, so there's a reason for that. So your body is going into ketosis. Now, your body can actually get glucose is through something called glucogenesis when you're in a state of ketosis.
Okay.
It's just not very good at it. It just doesn't want to do it.
Gotcha.
So whatever glucose your body is producing, it's trying to drive it into your brain because your brain wants that glucose for fuel. Okay. So it doesn't want the fats. Your skeletal structure can use fats for fuel to move through through ketosis. But your brain really doesn't want that. Your brain wants glucose for fuel.
Gotcha.
And that's why if you go low carb, you start getting foggy and whatnot. Flies like you today.
Yeah, it does.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So, coming back to the 3 macronutrients and on a label, that's why I keep touching on it's really important to know you want a balanced ratio of the proteins, carbs, and fats, the big 3. You want a balanced ratio of those in what you're eating. Okay. So with the iRide products, that's why you'll find there's a balanced ratio of them in there. There's, roughly half as much fat as there is carbs in protein because there's double the calories, right?
And when you talk balanced ratios, that's balanced calories?
Well, balanced in the terms of grams because on the label it's all in grams, right? So again, just coming back to the iRide cookie, 15 grams of protein, 14 grams of carbohydrates, and because they have double the energy, 7 grams of fats.
Gotcha.
Right? So they are balanced out calorie-wise, give or take ish, right? It's pretty close. Now your body has the three big nutrients, sort of, if we want to call them that, the 3 big things. It's got something for fuel, it's got something for hormonal function, and all the other stuff that fat does in your body, which is huge. And it's got something for recovery.
Awesome.
Right? So that's when I say you want like a balance of those 3.
Gotcha.
That's what that means. Yeah.
And they taste good.
And they taste good. So yeah, man, that's macronutrients, kind of trying to keep it as kind of surface level, kind of so that I feel like someone could walk into a grocery store, grab a can of something off the shelf, like, I don't know, a can of beans or whatever, grab a bag of something, flip it around, look at that nutrition label, and be like, oh, there's the protein, there's the carbs, there's the fats. Oh, geez, this one has like 2 grams of protein and like 40 grams of carbs and like, 26 grams of fat. Maybe that's not such a great one.
Yeah.
Right? Find something that's got a little more balance than that, and it's probably a reasonable option.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So for your meals, Mitch, roughly what are your macros? What are you trying to get?
So for me, that's one of the great things about all this is that you can be pretty flexible into something that kind of suits your needs. So for me personally,
like, are you going to get out of bed for 10 grams of protein?
No.
Okay.
So for me personally, I'm a very, very, very much a creature of habit, dude. Like, I do everything the same way every day. That's just the way my mind works. It's my comfort zone. It's what I like to do. So when I get up in the morning, I'll tell you exactly what I do. So I get up in the morning, I have a cup of coffee while I, do some editing on videos, or I check out comments or whatever it is.
Double?
No, just black, by the way. I don't use sugar, cream in the coffee, no nothing, just black coffee.
Gotcha.
Drinking like a man.
Sprinkle a little MAN in that coffee.
Yeah, I do give it a shot of MAN for sure. So I have a cup of coffee, and then I'll wait a little bit, and I'll have like a half a scup.
A scup?
Dude. I'm wixing my merds up.
Just starting your own measuring system. So we've got scups, we've got bum spoons.
Just give me a 3/4 scup. Mitch's baking school.
7/14 of a, I don't know.
A Shazama wasn't.
Yep.
What did I say? Okay, so a half a scoop. I have about a half a scoop of rocket fuel.
Okay.
And I drink that over the course of
Lightweight.
about totally. And then I drink that over the course of about 30 minutes to let it get in my system, and then I go have my workout.
Okay.
So I'll do my workout, which is a couple hours, and then
Excuse me?
Yeah. What?
What's a couple hours?
My workout.
I'm confused. What does this workout entail?
So my workout, well, at least for the last like 6 months or so, has been I do a 4-mile run.
What's that in the old clickometers?
I think it's like 7 and a bit.
Oh, nice.
I do a minimum 4 miles or minimum 7-ish K. Depending on how I feel, I might run another mile or something like that.
Okay.
But a minimum 4-mile run. And then I'll swap over into a CrossFit circuit. That circuit will be anywhere from 30 to 35 minutes.
Okay.
So I'll pick, 5 to 7 stations or exercises and then do those as many times as I can for 30 minutes.
Nice.
And then after that, I'll spend another 30 minutes on mobility work. So just stretching.
Gotcha.
So a couple hours. So then I go up and I have my breakfast. Now my breakfast is literally the same thing every day, unless I like go out for breakfast with the wife or something like that. But generally speaking, it's the same thing every day. I have 2 scoops of iRide protein. I have 2 scoops of iRide greens powder.
Okay.
Mix those into one shake.
What's your flavor of protein?
I'm a big chocolate guy. Chocolate everything, dude.
Chalky chalk.
Dude,
Right.
chocolate all day. I love the vanilla as well, but I'm a chocolate fiend.
Just hits different.
Oh, for me it does big time.
Gotcha.
So there's roughly 50 grams of protein in that, and a couple grams of carbs, a couple grams of fat. So that's going to kickstart the recovery from the workout that I just had.
2 hours? Yeah, you're going to need recovery.
Totally, right? So then the next thing I have is I have about 2/3 of a cup of oatmeal, just quick oats, and I chuck in half an apple or a half a banana into that, and I'll just throw it in the microwave, nuke it.
Okay.
Bob's your uncle. So now there's a little bit of protein in that. There's like 8 grams of protein-ish.
Okay. There's
There's about 50 grams of carbohydrates, and then about 6 to 8 grams of fats.
Gotcha.
Or sorry, 4 grams of fats. So that's my, okay, I just did this hard workout. I'm going to drive some glycogen back into the tissue to fill me up again for the day.
Okay.
And that's my breakfast. Moving on to lunch, I always have a spinach salad with some chicken or beef on it for protein, a little bit of salad dressing, and maybe like a slice of bread or something with it. But it's pretty low in fats and carbs generally for my lunch. Then when I get to dinner, that's where I have really the bulk of my carbohydrates and my fats, and maybe a little lower on the protein side because I've had quite a bit of protein in the first couple things. And then my dinner is usually pretty high in carbs and fats, just because I'm a dinner person. Like I'm always the most hungry at dinner time.
Yeah, that's my go-to meal.
Yeah,
Love
me
it.
too. Yeah, so I try and save up those macronutrients in terms of the carbs and the fats until later in the day when I can have kind of a big jump of them.
Oh, dude. Another, just going to the fad diets, another one was the, you don't have carbs after whatever o'clock at night.
Yeah, complete nonsense. Complete nonsense. Now, do you want to have 200 grams of carbs before you go to bed?
Of course not.
Probably not. However, don't say no either, because it completely depends on what you're going to do the next day. If you're going to do a marathon death race, yeah, dude, drive them in you. You're going to need them, right? If you've had nothing else through it the entire day, yeah, you can probably have a huge chunk of them and get away with it.
So if I start the old Mitch workout routine, the Fit4Mom routine, maybe I'll start eating my Doritos right before bed, get the carbs in.
Start driving them in.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, that's a nonsense myth too.
Gotcha.
You'll be okay if you have some stuff before bed. I can assure you.
Okay.
Just don't use it as an excuse or a crutch or a reason to binge feed before bed either.
Of course.
Right?
Yeah.
So that's my dinner. Okay. And then rolling into the night before bedtime, I usually have a piece of peanut butter toast because I love peanut butter toast.
Yeah, it's so good.
And I have another shake with the iRide protein and greens in it. And that's my everyday thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if I asked you what you did 2.5 weeks ago, probably that.
Probably that. Yeah, totally. Okay. Again, if we go out for dinner
of course, yeah.
There's some flexibility in there. But yeah, legit, that's like, you can pretty much count on it. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So, yeah, man, that's kind of the macronutrients. That's how I kind of break it down. Awesome. Hopefully that helped out a little bit with kind of explaining some stuff to people and making it a little bit easier, I guess, when they hit the grocery store aisle and they're looking at a label of some kind.
Dude, it helps me out, so I struggle with that constantly. So just having it broken down a little simpler, definitely helps.
And just a little add on to that, I guess, if you want to call it that, is, if you're at the grocery store and you're looking at labels, you got to figure it out. There's protein, there's carbs, there's fats in this thing. Fantastic. And you feel like you've got that under control, but you still feel maybe sluggish or you're not losing weight. Just dial those numbers back a little bit.
Gotcha.
Like, look for less carbs and less fats. Be careful with the kept fats. Like I said, they're super important in your hormones and stuff. So
you never want to cut them out.
Yeah, don't want to mess with those too much. But if you're having 200 grams of fat a day, that's a problem.
Dial it back a bit.
Dial it back.
Yeah.
But never go to zero on them.
Okay.
That's bad news for sure. Carbohydrates, those are easy to fluctuate. But look for some stuff that has less carbs in it, and you're probably going to start to feel like your engine starts to run a little cleaner. It's not so bogged down all the time.
Copy that.
Because a lot of times, honestly, dude, like in our Western diet, people have way too many carbohydrates in their diet.
I know I do.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And I can be guilty of it too. It's because they're delicious.
Oh, are they ever? So many good options too.
Yeah.
Like you walk into a grocery store or a convenience store.
Yeah.
You're working late at night.
You get an ice cream drumstick.
Dude, you were lambasted with nothing but dirty, glorious carbs.
I know, right? Vending machine.
Yes.
Right? Like, dude, they're everywhere. Unfortunately, they're not what we need. Which is, honestly, dude, that's like with the iRide cookies and the wafers and stuff. Like, that's why those are there, because they're a good option for a snack. You don't have to go to the vending machine. You don't have to hit the Sev. Like,
totally.
Carry a couple vanilla wafers and hero cookies in your whatever lunch kit, backpack, whatever it is.
Briefcase. Business people. Boom.
Shout out to the business folk for sure. Just pop it down, open it up, get a vanilla wafer in there. That's the only thing in there.
Instead of like bills, I just see rows and rows of fuel rods. The wafers.
That's it. You walk into some big business meeting. You're like, everyone starts talking. You're like, shh, not yet. You hear click, click. You open up the top of it, and it's just lined with vanilla wafers. That's the briefcase.
Yeah, it is.
Sir, I thought we could talk about maybe like our monthly projections. Would you like a wafer? Yeah. So, but legit, like they're a great option for that kind of thing, man. Yeah. So you're not reaching your hand into getting something you shouldn't have. They have a balanced ratio of those things that we talked about. There's a method to the madness.
Totally. So until we get the Japanese style vending machines that have everything.
I thought you meant like hologramic.
Dude, we are firing on all cylinders today.
Oh, wow.
Oh, yes.
I'm getting my merds all wicked up so much.
The merds. Dude, have you seen the Japanese vending machines?
No, are they like holographic, drop a pill and that pill turns into like roast beef and potatoes?
Dang near, dude. Like you can get ramen, like fresh cooked ramen, all sorts of stuff.
What?
Yeah. Yep. I follow a few on Instagram, and there's some gnarly things.
Is it like you follow me like it's food porn, or like it's just a picture of a vending machine, or what are you following here?
Just these couple of people in Japan that just show Japanese things. So this one guy just does vending machine reviews, and you can get everything out of a vending machine.
Really?
Totally. Yeah. Like,
can you get a crescent wrench?
Probably. that I don't know, but I've seen lots of gnarly food things, like legit cooked meals and like steaming hot ramen.
That's weird though. How is it doing it?
I don't know.
Huh.
It doesn't show the inner workings. It just shows it all just plop out.
Guaranteed it's a midget Asian that's working in the back.
Yeah.
It's super hot. I picture a little fan above his head going zzz, just he's got a little pot, a little pan.
Making noodles.
Everything is like as it is in a kitchen, just very, very small.
Uh-huh.
Best job ever.
Get the child labor for that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I didn't know that existed. That's interesting.
I'll show you some later. It's neat.
Yeah, cool. Any other questions before we wrap this up?
Dude, I've got so many. Maybe hold off for some of the other ones.
Ooh, a couple things before we go. Dude.
Yes?
What's coming up? What's happening in October?
Oh, the 24-hour race?
Yeah.
What the heck?
What is it? What are we doing, dude? Fill people in.
Jeez. So we're taking a road trip down to Glen Helen Raceway.
Yeah.
And for some reason, Mitch thought us racing in a 24-hour endurance race would be a great idea. Yeah. Giggles. Me going around some pro track at midnight in the dark. Yeah, not good.
Dude, it's gonna be next level and a tale to be told.
Totally. So we can have up to 2 bikes.
Right.
And then up to 6 people on our team. So right
Sweet.
now we're at 3.
Yes.
Are we looking for more?
Yeah, like if people want to come down and join us, dude, we'll take up to 6. Why not?
Yeah, that'd be a blast, eh?
Yeah, I think it'll be a lot of fun, man. We'll have the pit set up at Glen Helen there, and then once the race is over and we get a couple hours of sleep, yeah, man, we'll go for some food and be a wicked good time.
Totally. Maybe hit some water slides.
Yeah, man. Like,
there's no way I'm going down there without going to a water
no,
slide.
that's kind of your jam, eh? Yeah, you like being in your little bathing suit.
Skivvies.
Yeah, so that'll be cool, man. I'm really looking forward to doing that at Glen Helen. It's called the Three Brothers Endurance Race or something like that.
Yep, that's one.
Yeah.
How do I train for that?
Well, that's a whole nother pod.
Should we do that?
We probably should at some point. Hey, how does a person train for a 24-hour event?
24-hour event.
Training is one side of things, but maybe a better word would be how do you prepare for a 24-hour event?
Yeah.
Right? And there's the other thing too. So I was looking at like some of the rules. You need reflectors on your bike. So I looked up on Amazon some reflective tape. We can get like 300 feet for like $20.
Oh, do you have some old plastic for one of the bikes? Because we should just legit reflective tape the entire plastic. The whole bike is reflective.
It's just glowing every time someone sees it. Oh, man. How embarrassing would that be?
Oh, it'd be awesome because everyone would be like, there's that Rick idiot. Get out of the way. He's coming in hot.
Yeah, totally. And he's going the wrong direction.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'll be wicked, dude. We'll get some lights. We'll get some reflectors. It's going to be wicked. Yeah, so if anyone's watching or listening to this and they feel like come down to join us for a 24-hour race, man, hit us up.
Yeah, let's go.
It's October 8th and 9th?
8th, 9th, or 9th, 10th. But
something
it's
like
that weekend.
Yeah, so it's that weekend. So it starts 10 a.m. Saturday, finishes 10 a.m. Sunday. That is epic.
Totally.
That is epic. I would rather it start at like 7 a.m. and finish at 7 a.m. Like, I've pulled some all-nighters before, but when you start getting close to lunchtime again, that's a long go.
Jeez, dude, anything after 5 a.m. is brutal.
Yeah. So I was thinking about this too. We're going to need a place to rest. So I don't know, maybe we'll crash in the van. Maybe we'll bring a tent.
Some cots.
Yeah, like we're going to need a place just to kind of crash out for a bit. Like, I'll be good, dude, you can put me out there for 6 hours and I'll just keep going like an idiot around the track. But yeah, I can't wait. It's going to be so much fun. And I truly don't care what place we get. I just want to finish a 24-hour race.
Yeah, that'll be something else.
Yeah, I think it'll be a lot of fun for sure. Yeah, man. So that is that's the pod EP13. It is
lucky 13.
Yeah, lucky 13, not unlucky. We're rolling the dice.
Yep.
We're landing on black or red, or I don't know how the game goes. I don't gamble.
Yeah, you'll find out none of this recorded, so it'll be unlucky then.
Yeah, we will have to start it from scratch. We're an hour and 9 minutes in, and we'll be like, oh, didn't hit record. That's my bad.
Not seeing the family tonight.
Didn't put the memory card in.
Oops.
That's okay. It probably wasn't all that entertaining anyway. Yeah. We run into the end where we wonder if people are still listening or watching.
And we know they're not.
True. Probably not.
My wife does.
Does she?
She does. She makes it all the way to the end.
No way.
Yeah.
Huh. How much do you pay her?
Oh, far too much.
I bet you Jeremy. Shout out to Jeremy. He's probably the watcher.
Jeremy's such a stud.
Yeah, he's probably watching.
I was so pumped I got to meet Jeremy.
Yeah, he's a good dude, hey?
Seems like an awesome guy.
Yeah.
He should come. Do you think he'd race?
I wonder if he would. I might have to give him a little ringy dingy.
The old texty text.
Yeah, see if he'd be into heading down.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. He's got like a business and stuff, so we'll have to see. But
Oh, it's
That'd
just a
be-
weekend.
yeah, that's
couple
true. It's
days
on a
either
weekend.
side.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That'd be cool. Yeah, I'll hit him up.
Yeah, you
See
got to
what's
know
up.
some other people that can go.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll find someone.
I'll just go door to door in the neighborhood.
just.
Hi, do you ride dirt bikes? No. I want to go on a 24-hour race anyway.
Do you want to race
Sure.
one? We should. We'll just go to every single person at the track.
Mm-hmm.
You want to race in a race, senor?
Let's just do a sign. Next time we're at the track, just sign and
Hold up a sign. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Free candy on the side of the van.
And then
race free candy.
yeah, and then in brackets, must race in California. Sweet, buddy.
Mhm.
All right, on, man. Well, thanks for everyone for listening, for watching, for hitting the follows, the subscribes. By the way, where can people find us?
Find me on Instagram at Ninja Dust.
Yes.
Yes.
And you can check me out, Fit4Moto, FIT, the number 4, MOTO. And then the website, man, fit4moto.com. It's fit4, and 4 is spelled out, FOURMOTO.com.
And YouTube.
And on YouTube.
Dude, I find myself on YouTube all the time watching the videos. I love them.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't think anyone watched them.
I
So,
might be the only one.
I do have, depending on when you're listening to this, my Enduro Cross race of the Red Bull Outliers is going to be up right away, like the vlog part of it.
Mhm.
So be on the lookout for that.
Yeah.
Be cool.
I really dig the reviews you did. Any of those coming? You gotta have some new kits.
I think
new
I've
gear.
got some in the shoot. Yeah, I got a ton of videos I need to get through editing and get them loaded up.
You've got so much to do.
I know, yeah.
Oh,
It's crazy.
so far behind, you think you're ahead?
Yeah, it feels like that a lot of times. Yep.
Mhm.
Yeah. Well, speaking of which, I better get started on it.
Cool.
All right,
Let's
on.
do it.
Okay, thanks everybody for watching and tuning into this ridiculousness that we call a podcast, where we wicks up our merds and
I had something funny to say, but that just sidelined it. Nope. Thanks, everybody.
right on. We'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.
Bye.